Hi, it's Andy.
Hi, it's Dave.
Hi, it's Kirk.
Welcome to the A.D.K Rock and Metal channel. Okay, so today's video, we are checking out, it's a song that's actually already been out for a while, but it is a new video that's just dropped today. It's from Lorna. It's their new video, Welcome Back, O Sleeping Dreamer. It's the first song off of their recent album, Pain Remains, that came out in 2022. I know you checked it out at Kirk for Screen Blast Repeat. So they've decided to put this particular video out as the guitarist A.D.K. Is it Miko? Miko. Welcome Back, O Sleeping Dreamer is a song that they feel deserves as much of the light as any of the other song on the album. It was a pivotal song in their writing process. It was a song to get the momentum going for the rest of the record, and it was the song that they had the most enjoyment writing. So yeah, we are going to go check this out now. We are going to be pausing it. We are going to be breaking it down, ripping it apart, dissecting it, and giving our honest thoughts and feelings at the end. I've not had a great experience with Lorna. I have to be honest. Historically, the few songs I've heard, I've not been a fan of. I'm really, to be honest, it's off the album that I've heard bits of and I haven't enjoyed. So
we actually reviewed this album last year, the three of us. So it can't be that good. You don't even remember reviewing it.
I know, it was just, all I know is it was just noise. It was just noise. That's all I can remember. But yeah, I will try to be constructive. I apologize. I will try to be constructive. It's just not. It's probably my least favorite form of metal music at all. I'd rather be listening to J-pop. I genuinely would right now. Let's go check out.
I recognise the title, so yeah, Kirk, you're absolutely right. We did review it, and I think it's the opener, and it's quite a lengthy one, isn't it, Dave? 7 or 8 minutes.
No, I haven't brought it up on the screen yet.
This is a fucking tune, from what I remember. This is a banger.
All right, yeah, 7.5 minutes. Okay, let's go check it out. Do you know what? I really like the filter they're using on this video, like this kind of eerie, yellowy, green, atmospheric kind of vibe. It's like almost that found footage horror movie. Don't know what you guys think on that one, but I just like, this is kind of cool. I've got a feeling there might be some storytelling. You know me, I like a bit of storytelling.
Yeah, I like the images we've seen so far, sort of setting the scene. Ominous.
More of this might keep my attention. I don't know. Let's go. I mean, that's some pretty dark imagery. That's looks a bit gruesome. I can't work out for the image we've paused on here. I'm looking at it going, okay, is it someone who's been attacked or something and that they're in recovery? They've got the old blood bag going on there. But I don't remember this at all from the album review. But then it was over a year ago that we did it.
I'm surprised you don't remember it with your habit of listening to the first 30 seconds of a song, because this reminds me of Oh Fortuna by Carl Orff, you know, the Omen soundtrack. Da,
yeah.
da, da, da. So it's a dramatic.
It is. But I probably got really annoyed
at the beginning.
I probably got really annoyed that when it kicked in, it was all just like noise, and I was just like, "Oh my god, you ruined that! That was really good." That. I don't know. Okay, let's keep going. I'm really surprised they've just gone with like a type font for their name, Lorna Shore, rather than their logo. Or
yeah, I'm a little
Seems a bit odd. It's just,
I don't think they have a grotesque logo though, do they? Because their origins are metalcore and then they evolved into a deathcore band.
Didn't they have?
They did have a spike. I I thought it had a spiky logo.
They did at one point, yeah.
Maybe not on this album. You're right. It might just be sort of a plain font for the album we reviewed. But I have seen a typical deathcore style Lorna Shore logo.
I have.
So, Dave, question for you at this point. You had a choice between Lorna Shore and Geordie Shore. Which one would you choose?
Oh, up until this point, Lorna Shore, but I don't know. You ask me again in about a minute and a half, and I'll tell you.
I should make it clear I like this song as well. So there will be some positive comments and commentary on this.
I've not been negative. Yeah.
You might need to make it clear cut as well what Geordie Shore is, in case some of our international viewers don't know what that is.
It's a reality TV show that's very similar to Made in Chelsea, except it's in Newcastle upon Tyne in the northeast of England. And the people up there have a distinctive accent, and they're known as Geordies. Great people. A lot of my work colleagues are from Tyneside, that part of the country. But it's probably known as lowbrow crap reality TV that most people would probably lampoon.
Pretty much. Right, should we go listen to some more music then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, might as well while we're here.
Why not?
Yeah, fucking load of noise. It is. It's just noise.
I think
was
there's a lot of control.
Such a good intro. That was such a good intro. And then just... It's just, what is that?
Yeah, but you don't like grindcore, do you? To me, this is like a clean version of grindcore, because listen to the clarity of the drums in the mix. If anything, it's overproduced. That's one of the criticisms leveled at this band, especially from the old school extreme metal fans. Oh, there's no authenticity to what you're doing. It's all enhanced in the studio. Some of that criticism is harsh, but those drums, obviously, they're triggered, aren't they?
Yeah.
It does, sometimes you do wonder if they could produce that live. I would need to see some live material. But I think there's a certain exaggerated sense of extremity to this music. And ironically, that puts some people off who would listen to grindcore.
See, I don't call this music at this point, because there's no rhythm. There's nothing for you to actually get into. You can't move yourself. You try to bang your head at this tempo, you're gonna fucking break your neck. You can't. What are you doing apart from are you in the slam pit windmilling and just beating the shit out of people? Is that I really want someone who
this is the brutal
really explain this to me.
It's not 6 minutes of this. I'm sure there's some tempo variations, but yeah, you're not going to be able to sort of, as you say, move to this. But it's the grab you by the throat opening to this track, the opening to the album, and I'm sure there are memories, some sort of slower tempos, things you can get into.
I mean, I'm all for speed. There are certain things that I'm still like my Slayer. I don't mind some Napalm Death and stuff, but this just feels too fast. It just doesn't feel like I don't get what the benefit of this style of playing, that so fast that you can't actually, your body doesn't know what to do. You just kind of sit there, shake in a bar going, I don't know what to do to this music.
That's the whole point, though. You've got to keep redefining what you can do certainly in metal music. And there's a lot of dissonance in the guitars. The guitar tunings are a lot lower than 20 years ago, aren't they? The tools at your disposal for even a bedroom recording can sometimes sound better than an album from the late 90s on a major label. So I don't think, especially with heavy music, I don't think it should always just be about groove. That's a good element to have, but clearly you can't have that all the time, especially if you are ripping through blast beats at 270 beats per minute.
So imagine, because you're saying like about redefining there, imagine there's a certain point where you've redefined it so much that you've gone the opposite direction of being good. And I'm not saying technically these guys are playing brilliantly. I mean, I could never, ever play like this. It's far too fast for me. It's the ability and the techniques that you need are extreme. And that's what you say. It's an extreme music. But we did a video, 2 months ago or whatever it might have been, where someone was just screaming into a microphone with a load of electric effects pedals, stomp boxes in Japan. That was redefining music. But they've redefined it to such an extreme that it's actually gone the opposite direction. And this is where I think this is starting to tilt her over for me, listening to that. I know that people love this, and I've got no problem with that. I just don't understand why. I can't get in my head what it is about this that people could sit there and listen to an album of extreme music. I just don't get it. And I would love people to explain it. Please do, because it could be my ignorance. I don't know, but there is definitely something that completely alienates me about this music. But
yeah, I think Andy, you've probably got a good angle on this. Really, the arms race in extreme metal about who can be the fastest really just ended in 1987 with Napalm Death, didn't it? It was no longer about that. Okay, maybe that first Morbid Angel album, Altars of Madness, but after that, I don't think anyone's tried to go faster because you just can't, can you? It's impossible.
Yeah.
So I don't really look for that. Admittedly, I do share some of your skepticism, Dave. I don't really look for that if I'm listening to extreme metal. Oh, is it 280 beats per minute? But Andy, what was it like for you? Because you lived through this from Metallica Kill 'Em All. 4 years later, you've got Napalm Death Scum. That's one hell of a jump, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think all these bands throughout the decades are it's all about pushing boundaries. There's some bands and some genres that just sort of place the masses and appeal to the crowd and the fans. And there's bands like Lorna Shore who just take it that little bit further. But as Dave has pointed out, sometimes you can go beyond the limits of what is sort of entertainment and sort of a talented end product. Before people start saying, well, that's just noise. But I mean, we've had about 10 seconds of the actual band material. Perhaps we should go on a bit further.
Oh, do we have to? Go on. All right, go on then. Let's listen to some more of it then.
Go on then.
I mean, you definitely get like over those double kick stuff, the Fear Factory influences and stuff like that in these sort of bands, like that kind of triggery blast beat excessiveness.
It's not unlike Fear Factory, Dave. It's not a quick half second of blast beat drums, then there's a pause, and it's sort of it's just constant for about 20 seconds, which sounds like I think I might even made the reference when we done the album review, like a playing card in the spokes of a bicycle.
Yeah.
Constant. Is it 208 beats a minute, Kirk, or is it even faster than that? I mean, this sounds more extreme than the album that we reviewed. So I don't know if it's how it's coming across the mic here, but it's less enjoyable. Because I was surprised how much I did enjoy the album when we reviewed it, and I think this is one of the stronger tracks for me, the opener. But maybe it's because we're breaking it down, or it's not coming across very well on my laptop. It does sound a bit. What's the word I'm looking for? Just a bit of a row, really, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah, I think you've identified
more extreme than what it was before. The extreme remix has come through on this video, perhaps, is it?
I think it is important to acknowledge Fear Factory here, because most people will just be like, "Oh, you've taken Meshuggah." Now everyone's just like, "Oh, you're ripping off Meshuggah." No, Fear Factory is clearly the influence here. Whether this band know it or not, clearly they will be aware of Fear Factory. It might not be a primary influence. Some of the bands they're influenced from, though, will certainly have taken it from Demanufacture. It's that lock-in, isn't it, of the double kick drums and the syncopated guitars. And deathcore really has enhanced that, hasn't it? It's a key part of the sound, that razor sharp syncopation, which we've just seen there. Dave, that does have a groove to it. It's just, it
does.
a mechanical groove?
I think I liked the fact of the slow and I understand what they're doing with the real fast double kick with the real slow cymbal and the kind of almost half-time snare. But in a way, I almost kind of want them just to take those double kicks out and just keep it nice and simple and just kind of get that groove into it, because the double kicks just take it away from me. And the weird thing is when I was 16, I went to Cannibal Corpse gigs and stuff like that and Morbid Angel, and I understood at the age of 16, I was stage diving and spin kicking and all that sort of stuff to this sort of music. couldn't tell you any of the songs apart from the names of the songs, so I wouldn't be able to tell you what they sounded like because we didn't care at the time. It was just such an insane gig to go to. And I'm just wondering if there's an element of that this is more about, it's not something like you come home and you go, do you know what? I'm going to grab myself a nice cup of hot chocolate and put the Lorna Shore album on and relax for an evening. I don't see that happening, but I do see people going, Lorna Shore, I want to go out there and just tear the crap out of it and just slamp it. And I can see it being more of a engagement piece where it's all about the activity that's involved with the music, less about, or unless you're quite it's an emotional release for you to listen to it. And there'll be people that will walk around and listen to that, and they will use it as a way of a coping mechanism to deal with their own emotions and what's going on, and they can identify with it maybe. And I had this same problem when we talked about Sleep Token, that I struggled on Sleep Token because a lot of the people that love Sleep Token say it's music for the broken. And I was like, well, I'm not a broken person, so that's why I don't identify with it. I don't feel the way that I need to for that music to make sense to me, which I think might be the case with Lorna Shore. If you feel a certain way, then this emotionally connects with you. Whereas for me, I kind of want something that's funky and groovy, and that's kind of how my brain works today. Bring me some hot chocolate, maybe. Yeah. Shall we play some more music after that?
Please do.
I have a quick question on that last one. Kirk, you might be able to answer me that one. Was that just like, it sounds like a pig squealing? Is that a vocal technique that he just sounds like a pig that's getting his knackers like cut off?
Well, pig squeals, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It's quite orthodox now in the genre. It's a recognized technique. If you go on YouTube, you'll have vocal coaches explaining, analyzing it, and showing you how to do it, and talking about the science behind it. So it's actually taken seriously. You're right. It does sound like that, doesn't it? Like a pig that's got its head trapped in the pen. I mean,
is it a natural voice that someone can do, or is it all about effects?
No, it is something you can do naturally.
Right.
I mean, if you were to see him close up, the contortions on his face, a lot of it comes from here, I think, from the cheeks. So it'd be interesting. You can't really see it on this video. You need to see it live. But yeah, I mean, one thing you've got to say about this band, the vocals, he really, as Will Ramos, has taken it to a new level of extremity. And it's fascinating listening to the music just for that. However horrendous and grotesque it sounds, it's just so unnerving, but it's so unorthodox the way he just switches in his range. You know, his vocal register is just phenomenal, and he's really recognized now, isn't he, as probably the best vocalist in extreme metal. Certainly over the last 18 months, he's come from joining Lorna Shore, and then just he's all of a sudden just ascended to the higher echelons, hasn't he, amongst the vocalists. And one final point I'll say about deathcore, to me, this genre, one thing it does have the best vocalists in metal. When you listen to Phil Bozeman of Whitechapel, phenomenal vocalist, even his singing technique, but the clarity of his words when he's doing the growls, you know, the guttural death metal, is as good as anyone. Same with the guy from Carnifex. So this genre does have, and is known for having, probably the best vocalist in extreme metal.
You say about extreme. What I think, again, calling the album review, we've got those. You know, the first part of the song has got such speed, such velocity in the drums particularly, and then it goes the complete opposite. It almost goes so slow it stalls. You know,
yeah.
In the review video, it's just such a range, again, vocally and musically, from one extreme to the other. And it's, you know, like I said, though, there is variation. It's not 7.5 minutes of 280 beats per minute blasting away with, you know, relentlessly. There are sort of elements to sort of pick up on.
I mean, I can appreciate everything that everyone said there and the skill and the talent that's involved in performing this. I have realized that I've turned into my parents, because I'm sitting here going, I don't get it. I just when you were a kid and you played like Metallica to your parents, they're like, "Oh, that's noise. That's a lot. That's not like the Shadows and Cliff Richard." And I'm sitting there going, "I don't get it. I just don't get it. I'm struggling here with this one." Yeah. Let's carry on. Okay, one thing I want to pick up on there is with the keyboards that are coming in there, I really am struggling to hear any guitar parts at that point. It's like there's just too many layers with his vocal thing going on. The keyboards are coming so high that I'm like, is there actually guitars playing? There must be, but with the double kick going as well, I don't know if the guitar's just basically just playing a high similar to the guitar, to the keyboard part, or I don't know. It just feels a little bit messy in that part of the song. Don't know what you guys were thinking when you heard it, but
I think they certainly do get lost in the mix. You're right. It's the attack from one angle, which is the double kick drums, and then the high resonance of the keyboards. You're right. If they weren't playing 8-string guitars down tuned, you just wouldn't hear anything in that mix, would you?
no.
And the bass player, I mean, I'm not expecting to hear any bass in this song because the guitar tunings. What do you think, Andy?
Yeah, I mean, Dave's absolutely right. There is, I mean, there's layered vocals as well. You know, there's the drums, which are the driving element of the song, and then the keyboards come in as well. Yeah, I totally agree. It's a shame, but
just don't know what he's playing. That's it. There might be something really interesting there.
There might be a really good riff in there somewhere, but it's not coming across for the main section of the song. Certainly,
it might be he's just playing like he might be just playing a simple rhythm underneath it, which is why we can't hear it because there's nothing special.
It's not too far away from Cradle of Filth, really, is it? Especially that section. And they have problems when you listen to their albums from the 90s. The guitars sometimes used to get buried, didn't they, in the mix because the vocals are so intense.
That's true. That does remind me quite a lot of Cradle of Filth. It's good reference actually. Okay. Okay, so I will say I really like the guitar part. So I can actually say the same on this song I really liked. Because it's a solo, but it's not really a solo. It's actually just a lead line. It's very much like the symphonic keyboard vocal or keyboard melody. So he's just running scales effectively. So he's just running up through the scales, and he's just basically it's almost like a warm-up scale technique, but it works perfectly in this particular song. So I really, really enjoyed that. And obviously it's about to slam into some heavy breakdown section again, which I've just paused in and annoyed people. But Andy, what did you reckon of that guitar part? Because I know you're a bit of a thing about guitar solos for the sake of it and not a big fan of them.
I'll come back to that. I was going to say vocals at the beginning of that section when it sort of slowed down were otherworldly, weren't they? I mean, absolutely incredible. We're saying about pushing boundaries and extreme. Do you think can this bloke deliver anything more extreme in his vocals? And he did in that section. It was
No, I agree.
I can't think of the adjective to go with that. I mean, it was incredible. Really, really, really good. And I was listening on following that again the guitar isn't there unless he is playing, they are playing, a similar line as the keyboards from looking at their finger patterns. But the sort of solo, if you want to call it that, it's not going to be my favourite part of the song by a long stretch. But I'd agree with you, David. It does suit that section of the song, and it's broken it up, and it's just given it another element to sort of listen to. But again, that has then been brought up in the mix, and it's the forefront. That's the sort of the driving element of that passage of the song. So, I would prefer there to be more guitars throughout, but I can understand how they've structured the song and why the drums and keyboards, perhaps, are the drop and the vocals are the sort of key elements.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, sweep picking, that technique, Dave. Look what era we grew up in. Post-grunge, new metal, there were no guitar solos. We all had a friend who could play one or two Metallica solos, and we thought, oh, they're the best guitar players in the world. The standard is so high now, isn't it? I mean, you just take it for granted that the Axeman can deliver sweep picking, which is the hardest technique for any guitar player to master. And he did that perfectly. I probably didn't do it in the studio, but really good control there, wasn't there, of the rhythms. You're right. It almost didn't feel like a solo. It felt like a sweeping scale expedition, didn't it? The
nice
up and downs,
line.
almost like Philip Glass on fast forward mode. Yeah, you're right, Andy. They brought it up in the mix as well, didn't it? So it definitely stood out. Added a bit of texture, more colors to the music as well. You've always all of a sudden got this nocturnal green glow, haven't you, when that guitar solo comes in? So I certainly welcome its place in the song.
Let's keep going. Okay, there we go. So we didn't do a final pause on the video midway, but I'm just gonna say, like that last section when it suddenly there's not loads of blast beats going on. You had that symphonic bit and the and it's like keyboards and that. I was like, that's cool. That's cool. I really liked that because it just left. There was more room for it to breathe. But we've talked a lot during this video, so I think we've talked a lot about our points, but I'd rather just kind of go around the room now and just get our final kind of thoughts overall about this particular track on this particular video. So, Andy.
That last section, we had a few guitar chugs, but that's really only criticism. I'd like to hear more guitars, but I remember being very, very impressed by the album. I think this was one of the standout tracks for me, if I remember. And there's just so much there. I mean, the visuals of the video I really like as well. The silhouettes, the sort of quite macabre storyline, quite gruesome imagery, that was going on in the story. I think there's some sort of creature born at the end, and there's a lot going on, both musically and visually as well. So, very talented band. I'm going to check out the album again. I haven't really listened to it since we've done the review, but this has sort of piqued my interest again. Great video, great song, really good band. Yeah, okay. One of the top bands in their genre. Not for everyone by a long shot, but I really enjoyed everything about that.
Okay. So, from my point of view, you may not know this, but I don't really like extreme metal. You may have guessed that early on. So I don't even know where this sits within the concept of, is this a really good example of extreme metal, or is this extreme extreme metal. So is this? I don't understand it. I don't understand where it sits. As far as the track, I understand why people like them that are into extreme metal. I genuinely do, because they are that extreme and they are technically very good at what they do. I do find it amusing when people talk about how amazing a singer he is, and I'm just like, I didn't hear him sing a single word there. I heard him grunt, guttural, and make noises like a pig, but I didn't hear him sing. But that's because I don't listen to that style of music. So, and I get why people find that, like, how dare you say that about him. So I know technically he must be very good at what he does. I really like the video. For me, it's the sort of thing where I would now go back now and watch that and just mute it and just watch the video to see the story, because there was definitely a great story. I liked the cut in between a live performance and a storytelling element, so we were getting it, and there was some great angles. The colorization, it was just a very well put together video, and very impressive from that point of view, even if it was a little grotesque at points. But I enjoyed that element of it as well. Yeah, I genuinely, if you're watching this video and you have got a real affinity, or you genuinely feel connected to extreme metal, I'd love you to write in the comments, what is it about extreme metal bands, Lorna Shore, whoever it might be, that makes you go, yes, this is for me. Not just because they're so heavy and they're extreme. That's not a good enough answer. I'm sorry. There's got to be something else that connects that music to you. There must be something that makes you go, there's a personal connection or something. I'd love to know what it is, because I genuinely don't understand why there's so much hype about extreme metal, because I just don't get it personally. But Kirk,
It's worth saying that this band are quite divisive amongst people who listen to extreme metal.
Okay.
I'll tell you why. Because if you look at the emergence of black metal in the late 80s, that was really a reaction against death metal. So when you listen to that EP from Mayhem, Death Crush, it has in the inlay of the CD in 1987, I think it came out, and they've got a picture of Scott Burns. He was the famous death metal producer, and they've got a cross through it saying, "We hate this music. We're anti-death metal." They just didn't like the way it was going from thrash. And if you ask people now, listen to old school black metal, a lot of them would hate that. They would just say it's overproduced, it's nonsense, there's no human emotion in it. And I think that's very harsh to criticize it, but I can understand as well, because that is very mechanical, especially the drum work in that. The vocals dominate this music, don't they? And that's why they almost feel the need to throw in these virtual sweet picking guitar techniques. The riffs, I understand why it almost feels a wash in the mix at times, because he'll probably be playing chords that are atonal, so they're never going to stand out. And then when you put in keyboards and then also those double kick drums, you've no chance of hearing that with those vocals in the mix. I would say that this band deserve a lot of credit for how they've elevated, or should I say almost like open the door for younger people to understand what extreme metal is and what's possible. And yeah, I agree, Dave. What's the point in music that's just extreme for the sake of it? You're just gonna grow tired of that, aren't you? To me, I would say that post metal is just as extreme, and that's slow and sludgy, isn't it? But it's because of the human emotions in there, and the hardcore origins, and the Celtic Frost type sound, and Godflesh. I always get that in. And there's like it's traumatic almost, that music. So to me, that's as extreme as this is. This is extreme sonically and with those dynamic shifts as well, isn't it? So yeah, I will definitely be listening to their next album. I think they deserve all the praise that they're getting, even if they are divisive. They're not divisive to me. I think they really have opened the door for people to get into heavier forms of music, and there's absolutely no compromise in what they're doing. And vocally, you could just listen to it for those really grotesque vocal inflections. The enunciation is quite strong as well. I would say you could hear him talking about a parallel shift in the chorus. Yes, Dave, there was a chorus, believe it or not. I just think my only criticism of the album is it didn't need to be longer than an hour. It only needed to be 40 minutes, and it could have been a contender for one of the best albums of 2022. Final thing I'll say, though, it probably was one of the most important albums of the last 5 years, just for the impact it's had. Look at our friends from the Hertfordshire, Buckinghamshire metal scene, Sudakara. I guarantee you that they listen to this band.
Okay. Well, there you go. That was our review of Lorna Shore. Now, if you like this video, please do like, share, and subscribe, and we will see you on a video sometime very soon. Take care.